Okay, so what I knew before, let me just go to a page. What I knew before I entered college, you know what? Let me just take this out because what if you're focused on that? Okay, before I entered college in high school, the teachers would ask us to look for sources that will mention or talk about the topic. So I knew Google and other sites would be enough to compromise the teacher and make her happy, by adding my sources and just having them, even though they don't come from, you know, good reliable sources, which I now know what that means. But before college, I thought all sites provided real information, so I would use whichever one seemed the most convenient. In my essays from high school, we weren't asked to write really long papers. The longest was probably like 2 pages. So I would try getting quickly to a point and cut it off. What I knew before I took this class was mainly knowing how to start an essay and how to end it and cover everything that has to be said without giving as much explanation or elaborating too much on what I'm talking about. So the first thing I learned when I entered this class, it was something new every day. I learned how to organize myself and my ideas as well as my research by completing my craft sheets. My craft sheets helped by finding out if the sources I chose best fit my topic and allowed me to know how I wanted to talk about them. The craft sheets created me to find the currency, relevance, the authority, the accuracy, and the purpose of the sources I had chosen. So all of these things helped me to get to know my sources a little bit better. So the craft sheets consisted of currency, currency being the value of the information on the source. If the source was published recent, it has a better source. It's a better source because in a way it fits the present, so it has to do with what you're talking about since it's closer to the present rather than real old information. The relevance is finding out if the source holds or has information relevant to the topic. The authority, the next one, is there to make sure that the source is actually legit and is qualified to be nothing but facts. You have to provide, authors information if it does have information. If it's not, well, it's not legit information or a source. So the accuracy was to navigate us to finding out how accurate was the information given to us in the sources, making sense of it all. And the last one, which was purpose, it was to find a reason on why that source was created in the first place and what it was meant for. So the purpose, basically, it talks for itself. Okay, so it wasn't only how to organize myself, you know. I also learned that a good essay is one that has to have a good argument in. I learned that there has to be no holding back when writing an essay because when you are writing to persuade a person into what you're talking about, there has to be like more elaboration and explanation of the process with actual opinions and statements and a conclusion in the end. The design and test worksheet was an example of this, and this worksheet helped me in many ways. It made me think of different questions and different topics that are related to my research question that allowed me to expand my mind due to questions that were being asked on the worksheet, like these. It made me really notice the purpose, which allowed me to elaborate more on the topic and be more confident about it. Questions like, what is your big research question? Who is this for and why? Finding a purpose for it. So it did help me think about, the purpose of my essay and where I wanted to go about it and how I wanted to present it like. So with me being in college now and, learning a little bit in this class more about this and that, I noticed that I had to change my high school ways as a way that I write my essays rather than being confused rather than being focused on getting to the point like I was in high school. I realized that there should be more focus on the topic and the information, you know, that is given out by the author, by the one that's writing it, along with the sources in order to provide enough information to make the reader get engaged with the topic and understand the point of the topic and the full theses of what the research paper was even created for, which was a total opposite from how high school is, you know? An example of this is the connection map. I know it's I don't know if I can like change it so you can see it, but it's lopsided right now. But the connection map helped me in the way that it made me really acknowledge my sources by finding their comparisons and similarities. And this is important because it made me realize how I wanted to come about within my sources. It made me cut to the topic into half, basically. It made me cut the topic into half, like separate it and talk about, both of them, both of the situations, and then at the end, create it. And it made me focus not only on only one research, but two research now because, I was divided. So I think I already said that. So from one topic, I got from one topic and elaborate on each fairly. Then at the end, I conclude how they both fit together by including the similarities. So this really helped me by, trying to find like what I'm trying to cover, so it's like bullet points. So it's like I already covered that. So I'm going like by order in my bullet points and how I want it. So it's the connection map, like, help me organize it as well as think of more ideas that I was going to talk about. Okay, so as of for me, the critique and research paper is the most important because it makes you elaborate on the purpose of your writing by asking you questions, like not asking you questions, but you have to say what is the main purpose of your sources and what is it trying to say. That way you can have something like this, and if one of these don't match what you're talking about, then you can just take it off because it has nothing to do with what you're talking about. So it really makes you get the best out of your sources and things like that. So yeah, I just really like look how I just wrote a lot. What the hell? I didn't even know I wrote a lot. But yeah, it just really, I don't know. It just really makes you like want to, because at the end of the day it does help, going back to these worksheets, because you get to just copy and paste them to your essay, because it was, why are you going to go back to the research or to the source and read the whole thing again when you can just pinpoint and get the most important stuff out of there and then write them in a separate page like this one, and make your work easier at the end by not having to read the whole thing again. Just get the you know main importance. So yeah, this critique and research paper really helped me with investigating. I'm just reading this, investigating the issue on the topic, because basically that's what it's doing, and it says right there. So yeah. So we also had other worksheets to do. I believe they were called magic. I wasn't gonna mention these, but as I went through them, I noticed that they were really important as well. So it made you think of your questions intro. It made me really think about why I wanted to write about what was I write like about thing I was writing about. Oh my god. So my main focus was like questions like when people lack of education, what do you usually turn to? So I reflect something on that, and then why is it that most prisoners have a low IQ, and bringing them, saying the main problems or the main my at least my what the fuck, my, I had the word, I fucking forgot, man. My okay, whatever. We were also told to make the scene intro, which gave me an idea of how, like, if I wanted to use it. I didn't know that like in writings you can use intros that you can just make up yourself, but Like I just found that out this semester with my teacher. Mm. So yeah, it's a good idea, you know, and there's other good ideas as what to do, just like experiments or like you can describe a scene or other stuff, you know, that is in the map and I should have opened it, but the one I did was data analysis, which was you know, having to I don't even know what I'm saying no more. This is totally confusing. So my magic worksheet number 3, it says right here number 3. It was really like I really had to talk more about my sources. Like I'm talking about this one, making prisoners accountable, and I talk about what each is trying to say, which they weren't all the same, even though they kind of like hold the same words. They're not all the same. And here, it was a good setup in a way because I, you know, got to think about my introduction, speak on different situations, like say what I was gonna like. In other words, ready myself for my essay. You know, because I had planned to put the introduction, speak on different situations, explain what they led to criminal behavior, talk about judgment, cover on how education is important, and why and what it helps with, which is many ways, you know. So, yeah, that was my. Let me put this on white. So, that was what I learned from this class, and I don't know if I made it clear or not, if I made it clear enough or what, but I'll apply this to my future in the way that I now understand how much explaining is so important in essays because it really is important. You know, the just like how starting an essay is important, like how important it is to start an essay and to think about like how you're gonna start it. It's important also all the information in the middle. You know, and I used to think like, no, it's information in the middle. It's like whatever, I can put whatever in the middle. But it's the most like strongest piece of the essay. You know what I mean? Because it's the part where it's giving a lot of information and not only explaining but elaborating more on the essays I do in the future. You know, and I will take into consideration all these worksheets, starting you know with the crab worksheet. The crab worksheet. I can go back to it. I hope I can go back to it in the future. That way I know if my sources in that time that I'm doing or whatever are relevant or reliable. Or maybe I can find a crap sheet online. I don't know. Bonnie, send me one. So the design and the test worksheet, I'm gonna apply it to my future by allowing myself into thinking of many questions I can ask myself to bring a better argument and conclusion on my paper and my topic. And the connections map, I will apply it to my future by helping me compare all my sources to find out the main point of my topic and also use it as an organization map to help me organize my ideas. And basically these two last worksheets that I just showed right now is really like starting a blank sheet of paper yourself and asking yourself questions and really just doing an essay already basically, because once you start thinking about how you're going to do it, you're already doing it. So yeah, this is basically like these two worksheets basically like getting myself ready and you know just asking whatever questions I have within myself, like to bring more awareness within my topic or more information, you know, to give out throughout my topic. So what I learned by in, integrating secondary sources into my writing was that I have to back up the statements that are given by the source as much as I can to try to break it down for the reader and make it easier for the reader to understand. Turning to secondary sources into writing is actually a hard thing for me to do because I am combining someone else's ideas into my topic and have to like, make like put it together. And although it supports it sometimes, it can get controversial in the case. It can get controversial, and in that case, it's someone helped me by making it easier on deciding if it fits my topic well or not. So in a way, it's a positive, having like noticing like that source doesn't fit there because so it's controversy is good because you decide whether you want to keep it in your essay or not, because you can go against it or agree with it or whatever, because at the end of the day it's your essay. The main point is just to elaborate, and that's what I think I fucked up, you know but oh shit. I also learned that secondary sources shouldn't be the main focus. It should be the essay that is the main importance, and the sources should only back up the topic that is being spoken of, to make the reader gain more confidence of believing the paper and also help the author in the case, which is me in this case, right? For me to get more ideas from the sources I chose from, which will make my essay stronger and better. So, what I learned by the feedback process. The feedback process was my favorite process overall. I don't know why. I just like feedback, okay? Even bad or good feedback, whatever feedback is good. Even the bad is my favorite. Okay, I'm already going. So just because of hearing of others' opinions, not in general, but of my work, you know, that does make it my favorite thing about this process. I might sound selfish, but I like the feedback process because the people who give me the feedback allow me to realize my mistakes and also get to know their perspective of my work. The feedback process made me learn that it is okay to give and receive feedback, because at the end of the day, the person that is getting the feedback improves themselves in the way that they are able to take feedback and comments, whether they're good or bad, and also because it improves the person that got the feedback by looking back at their mistakes. Looking back, not bad. Looking back at their mistakes, remembering those mistakes, and being able to change them. So that was it about my presentation, or my audio. But I don't know if the teacher wanted for me to add this, but I think it's important as of myself to add this for myself because, okay, I'm gonna say why. So the teacher told us to choose. Why isn't it showing? Told us to choose three things that we most found interested in. What, like 1, 2, 3, like all the way to 7, right? The ones that really stood out to me were the first three. So it is the writing process, the research process, and the integrating secondary sources and writing with authority process. Oh my god. So these mainly spoke out to me because this is what I feel like I have to mainly work on within myself. So I'm not only saying what I learned, but I'm also saying what I need to improve myself in. You might want to stop this video because you don't give a fuck, right? But I mean, I don't know. I think it's really important, to say, you know. So the writing process, I have, like it says, use examples from the development of your writing in the class to help understand your writing process. I feel like I need to get better in this because I feel like I'm okay like with the draft, and I noticed that that's not the case because when I went back to one of my drafts, I noticed like complete like what? Like it's all over the place. So I noticed that I need to revise my writing processes and to keep in task with it, revising it and because at the end of the day, I mean, it's really important to get a message out there. And when like somebody reads your paper or something, and at the end of the day, they're just like, yeah, whatever. Like it's a whatever paper. You know what I mean? So like I need to get better in the writing process so I could develop a badass fucking paper and I get a good grade on it and I don't have to be doing nothing else to make up for that grade. So the writing process is something I have to work on. I have to stop just sending in my fucking draft. I need to really check my work like 3 times before I turn it in. So that's something I noticed I have to do. A research process is like using examples from the development of your research and stuff like that. And stuff like this, I'm bad at because I'm bad at like thinking of questions within myself and all of this. But I noticed that if I really think about it, I can, develop all of this because the research process really has to do like with these two pages that I have showed you. It gets you ready for what you're gonna do. So I wouldn't do this like this thing that I have right here. I wouldn't do this for all my essays. This is just for this class. But I need to do this for all my essays because it's a research process and you have to make it good. Like make it good so the person that's reading it can walk away with like with them realizing something or something like that. And integrating secondary sources and writing with authority. I have problems with this in the way that I feel like I don't know in what way I can talk about something that someone said, or I don't know like how to transition a quote to like what I'm saying, or how to transition what I'm saying into a quote. And you know so like adding the sources, and it's harder for me to add sources than for me like not to have sources at all. It'll probably be easier for me to write a 6-page essay with me having no secondary sources rather than me having secondary sources, because with secondary sources it has to be more organizing and you have to put more thought into it, and to develop a sense. And yeah, this is something that I can't walk away out of because I'm in high school, and I'm in college, and you have to have reliable secondary sources, and you have to back them up good, like well enough. So I noticed that I really do have to take my time on my secondary sources and, you know, reflect on them a lot. Reflect on them in whatever way I can, but, don't just put a dry reflection to it. Make it entertaining and all that other shit. So, yeah, this semester with my professor, Bonnie Garcia, I noticed a lot of stuff within myself. And actually, before I entered college, I always thought I was good in writing and everything. And I'm not saying I'm not good right now. I am, but I need some work on, and I need more explaining and more elaborating. So, overall, what I learned is that I really have to expand my mind if I want to create something worth reading or worth getting a good grade from, which is what everybody wants. So, I have to get more like into detail with stuff, whether it's with my sources, with my own opinions, with my own questions, and everything. Period. I have to elaborate more, because if it doesn't make it clear for the reader, then what's the point? So that's what I learned overall in this class.